All right, if you want to read this article, you can do so at justinstellman.com/A21. Who is the hero of your life? It seems like recently there's been a resurgence in comic book movies. For the past 20 years, we've seen Batman, Superman, and every other comic book hero make their way to the big screen. There's a reason why this is the case, because it sells. But why does it sell? People like to have somebody they can look up to and model their life by. The struggle of good versus evil is always one of the main components in comic books. There's a bigger story that wraps itself around the protagonist and the antagonist. This is the story that we get wrapped up in because we superimpose our lives into the story of the comic book movie. We imagine what it would be like for us to be in their shoes. Would we rise up and fight against injustice like they do? Would we have enough moral conviction to take a stand like they do? Would we help save the hopeless, poor, and destitute like Superman would? These are all questions that lie beneath the conscious mind when watching a movie like that. In the event that we cannot resolve the questions like that, we pretend that the struggles in our lives are similar to what Superman or Batman went through. We know that our financial struggles or our relationship struggles might not be as severe as saving the entire planet from being blown up, but we compare our issues with the issues these fictional characters faced. How do we respond to issues in our own lives? Do we wither and allow ourselves to be full of fear, or do we respond with conviction, like the comic book characters? For most of us, it's just a philosophical exercise that takes place for a day or so, and then we just forget about it. We go back to our lives full of fear and anxiety. The world is full of hero figures. There's Jesus, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Joan of Arc, William Wallace, and the list goes on and on forever. There's something deep within every human that desires to be led. We desire to be told what to do. We want people around us that have everything figured out. These hero figures seem to have a deep moral conviction that they live by. They know right from wrong. They know why they're here. They know what their mission is, and they know where they're going. There's something very comforting about that. We long to watch stories where the hero always does the right thing. He's very decisive and knows exactly what he wants. I think the reason we're drawn to that is because all these characteristics are woefully deficient in our own lives. We recognize they're inside of us like little seeds that need to be watered. We have these characteristics, but we never cultivated them. When we see somebody who embodies everything we wish we were and knew we could be, it's very attractive. When we witness a person behaving in a way that we know we could, we want to be like them. We want to be like them even to the extent that we live our lives either enamored by how they live or even subjected to them. Essentially, we let these people be our rulers. Humans have this strange desire to seek out hero figures and worship them or be ruled by them. The idea of a hero is supposed to be one of inspiration. We ought to be inspired to cultivate our own core values and live with the same kind of conviction. We're not supposed to look at these godlike figures and subject ourselves to them. Living vicariously through Superman does us no good. So what should we do? Well, we should figure out what characteristics they possess that we want and learn how to cultivate them. It's like watering a seed that lies deep within us. When we look at a character like Jesus, what is it about him that makes us worship him? Well, he was compassionate yet very firm in his convictions. He helped the poor, seeking nothing in return. He helped the widows and the powerless. He healed people, and he died for our sins. What about somebody like Mother Teresa? What did she do? She was responsible for helping millions of people live better lives. She gave up her own dreams to help the poor and starving people in India. How about Martin Luther King? He was very polarizing, standing deep in his convictions. He wasn't afraid to stand up for the truth, even though it cost him his life. He lived by deep-rooted morals and ideals. How about William Wallace? He wasn't willing to take handouts from England. He wasn't willing to compromise what he really believed in, which was freedom for Scotland from the English oppressors. There came a time when England wanted to offer a truce, but Wallace was unwilling, or he was willing to risk it all. He risked his own life and the freedom of his country to take back their God-given rights from England. See, Wallace wasn't willing to compromise the truth. He didn't live in a safe, practical life. He was willing to risk it all for his belief that we are all free people and shouldn't be subjugated by another man. The same is true with Joan of Arc. She fought against the Catholic Church and ultimately ended up being burned alive for her beliefs. All of these great historical figures share similar characteristics. They know exactly who they are and are willing to, in an almost delusional state, to defend what they believe to be theirs. They know what they're fighting for, and they know who they're fighting against. All of them most certainly understood their place in history. They realized everything has come to a head, either politically, socially, or spiritually, during their life, and they knew it was their mission to change the direction of human history. Deep down, they had a really strong sense of their role, what they were doing, and most importantly, what it was going to cost them. The fact that they continued their mission knowing how it was going to end is what we admire so much. Inside of ourselves, we secretly wish we were like these people. That's why we watch comic book movies and are drawn to heroes. We realize they're human and that we're human, but they seem to possess something that we don't. We want to figure out how to possess the same qualities also. We also don't know how to do it. Are these qualities something they're born with, or are they something they've cultivated, or is it a mix of both? Is it possible some people have seeds deep within them that are a little more progressed and they get cultivated to grow based upon circumstantial stimulus? We'll never know. What does seem to be true to me is that all of us have within us a desire to be more like the heroes we see in the movies. The desire is there, but that's about where it ends. But the fact that the desire is there means that we have it within us, right? We have the potential inside of us this very moment. Otherwise, why would we recognize greatness if we didn't have it already inside us? You can only recognize that which lies within you because everything outside is just a mirror of that which exists inside you. Recognize you are not your failures. This has to be the first step to realizing you can live the way you really want to live. Unfortunately, you get caught up thinking that all of the failures in our lives are somehow who we are. We think we're the guy who can't make a commitment or keep a relationship, right? We think that we are the kid who failed biology class. Or we think we are the guy who can't keep a job because he doesn't get along with his coworkers. We think that we are the person who can't say no to ice cream or cake. We think we're the person who can't resist the temptation to drink or cheat on our partners. We think we're the person who doesn't have enough discipline to get out of bed at 6 a.m. to go to the gym. See, we think we are the sum total of all of these things. We think we don't have a strong enough personality to overcome the bad choices we've made in the past. But those are just lies. The truth is that we didn't make poor choices because we are a certain way. We made poor choices because we haven't become strong internally yet. That's like a guy who goes to the gym for the first time and gets mad that he can't bench press 300 pounds. It's not wrong that he gave up. It's just that when faced with adversity, he drops the weight because he was weak. He didn't have the strength to lift the bar, not because of some moral flaw in his character. He just didn't have the strength yet. When we make poor decisions and give up or give in to something, it's not because we have a lack of moral character or are bad people. It's just that we haven't developed our inner strength yet. The poor choices I've made in the past and that you've made are just things that happened. They have no bearing on who you are. They just reflect a lack of internal discipline and strength. Who we are isn't predicated upon what happened or what choices we've made. When we own the past mistakes we've made, we get into an identification issue. It's easy to say that we are a horrible person who can't get our life together. It's easy to wallow in defeat and think that we're horrible people and don't deserve anything better. In my experience, it's always helped me to disassociate myself from the events in my past. The events that happened and who I am are two completely different things. When I blend them together is when I start having real problems with fear and uncertainty. Just because you might have failed at every business endeavor in your life doesn't mean you're not an amazing business person. It just means that those attempts failed. Failure doesn't mean you don't have what it takes to do it right the next time. If we can change our thinking about our failures in the past, that gives us the freedom to keep trying new things forever. It's pretty liberating, actually. Now that you've unwound the past events in your life from the essence of who you are, we can start to look at cultivating the seeds of character that make up the hero. As with anything new, it's going to take time. Probably an entire lifetime, actually. Or maybe even many lifetimes, so don't be in a hurry. Developing strong character is just not easy. Being a man or woman of conviction usually requires a challenge of some kind. There's no real growth without stress. Strong muscles become strong due to putting tremendous amount of stress on them. The same goes with character and living with conviction. You can wait for bad things to happen to you in order to develop conviction and character, or you can put some intention into what you're trying to do. The first step is writing down all of the characteristics of what your hero archetype looks like. Use your imagination and think about what your archetype would be. How would he act? What would he do? How would he think? What would his personality be like? How would he interact with others? How would he deal with pain? Once you have those traits mapped out and you know what kind of person you want to be, then you can start to engage in difficult activities that will draw those same characteristics out of you. So maybe you want to reconnect with nature and find your soul purpose, so you go on a 3-day vision quest in the middle of the woods. Perhaps you seek out someone you have wronged and apologize to them because you want to learn how to let go. Maybe you work out extra hard in the gym because you want to find the mental barriers you know you need to break through. Perhaps you take the extra time to help somebody in need because you want to cultivate more empathy in your life. In the same way that you can seek out specific exercises in the gym for each body part, you can do the exact same thing with your character. You can essentially force yourself to rise above your normal patterns of behavior so that you can gain more character strength. Some of the things I've been doing lately is doing my best all the time, no matter what I'm doing. If I go into a bathroom and see that it's dirty, I'll clean it up. If I write an article or record a podcast, I'll do my absolute best. Some other things you can do to become your own hero archetype is to force yourself to do things that are uncomfortable. Maybe you're scared of public speaking, or maybe you're scared to speak your mind at the dinner table with your family. These are exercises where you can develop moral strength of character. See, Jesus never had a problem speaking his mind. Nobody was unsure what Jesus' stance on a situation was. The more we force ourselves to do these little things, the more we develop character. We become our own hero. We become the physical embodiment of the hopes and dreams of our ancestors. These are the hopes and dreams they had, but they could never make come true. All of their hopes and dreams live inside of you and inside of me, but so do all of their struggles, their pain, and their fears. As the famous quote says, we are the ones we've been waiting for. One of the things I like to think about is to pretend that there's a documentary film crew following you around every single day, no matter where you go. Everything is being filmed and recorded. If you were sitting on the couch watching that movie about your life, how would you want to be portrayed? It seems that for all of our lives, we've all wanted to live through our hero characters. Don't you think it's time to embody that archetype for our own lives? Imagine how the world would be if all 7 billion people took that ethos on as a spiritual pursuit. What kind of world would that be? If you want to comment on this article or check out any of the links or images contained within it, just go